Hey guys, it's great to be back at the all again today. We're going to be talking about perimeter again today. And the specific skill, same skill we talked about yesterday, is 3.7b. And that's determine the perimeter of a polygon or a missing length when given perimeter and remaining side lengths in problems. And the I can't statement is I can't figure missing side lengths of polygons. Look at the vocabulary again. Perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the edge of a shape. So we calculate that by adding all sides. We add all sides to calculate perimeter. So like I said, it looks very similar to area problems, especially when you're talking about rectangles or squares. The difference is on a perimeter problem, we add all the sides. Let's go ahead and look at our videos. Okay, we have one of Aaron's 5-minute math videos talking about perimeter, and in this video, he's going to talk about how to solve this problem in less than 5 minutes, and it's from the 2018 STAR test. Question number 3. This would have been the one we did prior to Christmas, so you might recognize that problem. And then we have a math annex video about perimeter, and kind of gives you a little different perspective on how to think about perimeter and how to solve perimeter problems. Let's get ready and watch these two videos.
Looking at the third grade concept of perimeter, this is standard 3.7b in the great state of Texas, and we are using number 3 of the 2018 released STAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and then we will look at our answers together. So we have a table here. Gretchen made this table to show the side lengths and the perimeters of certain figures. We have a square, triangle, rectangle, and then what mistake, if any, did Gretchen make? So there is a possibility here down at D that maybe she didn't make any mistakes, but she could have made a mistake with the rectangle, the square, or the triangle. So first, let's make sure we understand what perimeter is. The perimeter is adding up the side lengths outside. So the perimeter is always going to be the outside of a two-dimensional shape. Sometimes we will be looking at the inside, but that is going to be the area. Area is the inside. That's where we use little squares. We lay them right next to each other to see how many squares make up the inside of a shape. But we're looking at the outside. So we have a square, a triangle, and a rectangle. So a square, let's just see if we can draw these pictures here. Now remember, square's got 4 sides that are the exact same length. So we have the 4 side lengths there, 6, and they're in yards. So 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, and then 6 yards. Well, we've got 2 options here. We can literally just add up all 4 sides if we want to. So we can say 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Or you might think, you know what, this is a multiplication problem. I've got 4 groups of 6. Remember that you can use multiplication as a way to kind of use a shortcut for repeated addition. So 4 groups of 6. Either way, you're going to come up with the same answer, 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Or 4 times 6, they are both going to equal 24 yards. And it looks like they've got 24 yards. So let's say the square is good to go. So we're going to actually cross off B since the square is good to go. Let's look at our triangle. Now our triangle is an interesting one. I'm going to try to draw it, but it might not be perfect here. There we go. So this is 8 yards. This is 7 yards. And this is 4 yards. The reason it was kind of hard to draw is because this is a special type of triangle. It's a scalene triangle. Scalene triangles are triangles that have all 3 sides different lengths. Equilateral have all 3 the same lengths. Isosceles have 2 the same length. This is a scalene, which means all 3 are different. So there's nothing to do but simply add these up. So I've got 8 plus 7 plus 4. So the 8 and 7 is going to be 15. Add the 4, so that's going to make 19 yards. And that looks like it works just fine. So we've got 19 yards. So the triangle looks okay. So let's cross off C. And so it's either the rectangle is wrong or our answer is D. Let's check out our rectangle. Rectangle is a four-sided shape. It's a quadrilateral. It's also a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel sides. And the special part about this parallelogram is that it's got four right angles or four 90-degree angles right here. That's what makes a rectangle a special type of parallelogram. So we've got two sides that are 4 yards each, two sides that are 8 yards each. So once again, we've got some options here. We can just add up 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 8. I'm going to double both of these. I'm just going to do 8 and 8 make 16. 4 and 4 make 8. Then I'm going to add those, and that's going to give me 24 yards. Or I can just add 8 and 4 is 12. 8 and 4 is 12. 12 and 12 also make 24 yards. Either way, this is wrong. It's not 32. I bet you they multiplied 8 times 4. So then the answer is A. Should be 24 yards.
Hi, welcome to Math Antics. In this lesson, we're going to learn about an important concept in geometry called perimeter. Perimeter is just a fancy math term that means the distance or length around a shape. But what exactly does the distance around a shape mean? Well, distance or length is a one-dimensional quantity that we can measure with units like centimeters, inches, or miles. That means that perimeter is also a one-dimensional quantity that we can measure with units of length. For example, the perimeter of a shape wouldn't be just 10, but it could be 10 centimeters. Or instead of being just 25, it could be 25 miles. The units are really important when you're talking about perimeter. Okay, but what exactly do we mean by around a shape? It seems like there would be a lot of different ways to go around a shape. Some of them would be short, and some of them would be very long. Well, perimeter means the absolute shortest distance possible around a shape. That would be the distance you'd get if you trace the path exactly around the border or edge of a shape. A good way to see what perimeter is to imagine that you could walk right along the edge of a shape, like this five-sided polygon. Imagine starting at one of the polygon's vertices and then walking along each side until you got all the way back to the point that you started from. The total distance you traveled would be the perimeter of that shape. In this case, if the length of each side of the polygon was 10 meters, the total length you would travel along all 5 sides would add up to 50 meters. Another good way to see what perimeter is to imagine that you could take a shape, like this square, and break it at one of its corners. Then you could unfold the shape until it formed a straight line. The length of that line is the perimeter of the shape. Doing this helps you understand why perimeter is a one-dimensional quantity, even though it applies to two-dimensional shapes like this square. It's one-dimensional because it's the distance of the lines that go around the two-dimensional shape. Okay, so now that you know what perimeter is, how do we measure or calculate it for different geometric shapes? Well, that depends on the shapes. Finding the perimeter of shapes that have curves, like circles or hearts or things like that, can be tricky. In fact, we'll wait and talk about the perimeter of a circle in another video. In this video, we're just going to focus on how to find the perimeter of polygons. Since polygons are made from only straight sides, it's easy to find their perimeter. If you know the length of each side, all you have to do is add them up, and the total length you end up with is the perimeter of the polygon. Let's try doing that with a few examples so you see how it works. The first polygon we'll try is a triangle. This triangle has 3 sides that are each a different length: 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 5 centimeters. Now, to find the perimeter of the triangle, all we have to do is add up the lengths of those 3 sides. 3 plus 4 plus 5 equals 12. But don't forget, it's not just 12, it's 12 centimeters. Always remember to also put down the units of the perimeter. Okay, that was easy. Let's try another one. This time our polygon is a rectangle, and you can see that the shorter sides are each 5 meters long, and the longer sides are each 10 meters long. So let's add them all up. We can add up the sides in any order we want to, as long as we don't forget any sides or accidentally count any of them twice. And I think I'll add up the two short sides first. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Next, I'll add up the two longer sides. 10 plus 10 equals 20. And now, if I add up those two answers, I'll get the total for all four sides. 10 plus 20 equals 30. So, the perimeter of this rectangle is 30 meters. You thought I was going to forget my units, didn't you? Not this time. Here's another good example. This is a six-sided regular polygon. A regular polygon means that all its sides are exactly the same length. And that's good because this diagram only shows the length of one side, 4 centimeters. But since the polygon is regular, we know that all the other sides are also 4 centimeters long. Now, we could just add up all the sides like we did before, but since they're all the same, we can use multiplication as a shortcut. That's because multiplication is really just repeated addition. All we have to do is multiply the number of sides, 6, by the length of the sides, 4 centimeters. 6 times 4 equals 24, so that means the total perimeter must be 24. 24 what? Oh, centimeters. That's better. Oops. And this formula works for any regular polygon, no matter how many sides there are. If the sides are all the same length, you can just multiply the number of sides by the side length, and you have the perimeter. Okay, let's try one more example. This polygon also has 6 sides, but it's not a regular polygon. The sides are different lengths, and this one's really tricky because they only show us the length of 4 of the sides. The other 2 are missing. So how can we figure them out? Problems like this come up all the time in math. Problems where you aren't quite given all the information. When you have this kind of problem, the key is to use what you do know to figure out what you don't know. Here's what I mean. Look closely at the 2 vertical sides that we do know the lengths of, 4 inches and 6 inches. Now, imagine that those 2 vertical sides could be moved straight across to the other side, the side that we don't know the length of. By doing that, you can see that the missing length would just be the combination of the 2 vertical lengths that we do know, 4 inches and 6 inches. And since 4 plus 6 equals 10, the missing vertical side must be 10 inches long. Notice that we can do the same thing for the horizontal sides that we do know. If we imagine those moving down to the side that we don't know, we see that its length must be equal to the combination of those 2 lengths. 10 inches plus 5 inches equals 15 inches. There, we've used the lengths that we did know to figure out the lengths that we didn't know. And now that we know the lengths of all the sides, we can just add them all up to get the perimeter. 4 plus 5 plus 6 equals 15, and then 15 plus 15 equals 30, 30 plus 10 equals 40, and last of all, 40 plus 10 equals 50. So, the sum of all the sides is 50 inches, and that's the perimeter of this shape. And that's the end of this lesson. We've learned that perimeter is the distance or length around a geometric shape, and we've learned how to calculate it for any polygon. You just add up the lengths of all the sides, and the total length is the perimeter. Oh, and don't forget your units. Also, don't forget that to get good at math takes practice. Thanks for watching Math Antics, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, got a guided practice question right here. Following as I read. It says Paris drew rectangles 1, 2, 3, and 4 on grid below. Those are the 4 rectangles. Which rectangle has a perimeter of 30 units? So we'll basically go through here and figure out what the perimeter of each one of these shapes are. And if you remember on Monday when we talked about area, the question looked very similar to this, except it was talking about area. So you need to make sure you pay real close attention to what the question's asking. That's the reason we underline the question. This is asking about perimeter, and we think about perimeter. When we think about perimeter, just like we said a little bit ago, we add all sides. So we'll go ahead and figure out what the perimeter of each one of our shapes are. We'll start with shape number 1, or rectangle 1. What is the perimeter of rectangle 1? Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll count it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one side is 5, and the other side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to show you, we know we can go ahead and add all sides. So I do 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 7, or I'll show you this little trick that I do. So 5 plus 7, so if you just add two sides, that gives me 12. And if I multiply that by 2, that equals 24. For whatever reason, that's a little bit quicker to me. So we'll say the perimeter of this shape right here is 24 units. So what is the perimeter of rectangle 2? Okay, we'll check that and see. We'll count the length real quick. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we add 9 plus 7, that equals 16. And then 16 times 2 equals 32. So the perimeter of rectangle 2 is 32 units. What is the perimeter of rectangle 3? Okay, let's check that and see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know 6 plus 7 is 13, and 13 times 2 equals 26. So rectangle 3 is 26 units is the perimeter. And rectangle 4. What's the perimeter of rectangle 4? Okay, let's check that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know 8 plus 7 equals 15, and 15 times 2 equals 30. So the perimeter, I'm going to put P equals, perimeter equals 30 units. So that means that J, rectangle 4, is my one that equals 30 units. Okay, it's now time to complete your independent practice. I'll put a PDF in there that you can print off and work out the problems. But just take your time, do your very best. There will be a blue puzzle piece after that, and that's where you'll input your answers. That's how we check to make sure you've done it correctly. And so like I said, take your time, do your very best. If you have any problems, send your test teacher a message, either as an email or a message in Schoology, which seems to be the most popular way to contact teacher. And like I said, take your time, do your very best, and best of luck to you.